Welcome to the deep dive. We grab a whole bunch of interesting sources and pull out the absolute best bits, the real nuggets of insight, just for you. Today, we're diving into something I think is really fundamental: rewriting your financial narrative. It's all about shifting how you think about money, how you actually build wealth that lasts, and maybe even how you generate income. Especially now, things are changing so fast. Yeah, so this deep dive, it's built from quite a collection. We've got articles on financial mindset, different investing strategies, some real estate insights, and even, these really cutting edge ways people are using AI for online income. Our mission really is to give you a shortcut, a way to get up to speed on how wealth strategies are evolving, packed with hopefully some surprising facts and ideas that might make you rethink things. Because the big theme here, I think, is that your financial story, it's not set in stone. You can rewrite it, you can refine it, reshape it.
That's absolutely the starting point. And a really key insight from the sources we looked at is just how crucial understanding our own financial beliefs is. It's step one. Because these beliefs, they profoundly shape pretty much every money decision we make, whether we realize it or not. So the idea is you need to identify those limiting money narratives, the stories we tell ourselves about what's possible with money, and then actually challenge them.
Okay, so that phrase, rewriting your money story, it sounds big, maybe a bit abstract. What does that actually look like in practice? How do the sources suggest you start doing that, challenging those deep-seated beliefs?
Well, it really starts with just awareness. Simple as that sometimes. So many of us are running on old programming, right? Like the idea that financial success has to mean constant grinding hustle and just endless sacrifice.
Yeah, that's a common one.
It is. But our sources suggest that, well, it's not the whole picture, not by a long shot. When you learn about what some describe as effortless investing and strategic money management, it can totally shift your perspective. It shows you a path that's less about that relentless grind and, more about making smart, informed moves that just build on themselves over time.
That makes me think immediately of the latte factor. We've all heard it, right? Cut out the coffee, the small treats, and boom, you'll be rich. But the sources we looked at, they kind of suggest it's almost a distraction, isn't it? It's not really about the coffee.
Precisely. Yeah, the real nugget from the latte factor isn't about forcing yourself into deprivation. It's about making conscious spending choices. It's less about the actual $5 or whatever it is you save on one coffee, and much more about the awareness of where your money is consistently flowing, often unconsciously.
Ah, okay. So it's about seeing the pattern.
Exactly. It's understanding the opportunity cost of all those small, maybe unthinking outflows adding up over months and years. That's the actual insight. You're turning that sort of mindless spending into intentional choices that actually line up with your bigger financial picture, your goals.
Okay, that reframes it completely. So if the latte factor is about rewriting spending habits to match your values, what about rewriting your future through maybe the most powerful tool, investing? Our sources mention easy investing for lazy people, which, who doesn't want that? Sounds ideal.
It really does, doesn't it? And a major point here comes from a classic, A Random Walk Down Wall Street. The big takeaway from that book, and lots of research since, is basically that markets are inherently unpredictable, really hard to forecast short term. And so trying to constantly outsmart the market, pick the next hot stock, it's often, frankly, a losing game. What's fascinating, and maybe a bit counterintuitive, is how study after study shows that even the pros, the professional fund managers with all their resources, they really struggle to consistently beat a simple, low-cost index fund over the long term.
Wow.
It's not just a theory, it's like a statistical reality. And it really challenges that whole foundation of active stock picking that gets so much hype.
There's a powerful argument for keeping it simple. But, for a lot of people, the excitement of trying to beat the market or find that one amazing stock is just, it's really appealing. What's the biggest sort of psychological block people have with accepting what seems like maybe a boring strategy? And how do the sources suggest getting past that?
Yeah, the block is often just human nature, isn't it? We crave excitement. We often believe, kind of instinctively, that more effort must mean more reward.
Right, makes sense.
But as A Random Walk really drives home, tons of investors fall into that trap. They chase the latest trend. They try to time the market perfectly. And in doing that, they often end up actually losing money compared to just staying put.
So the action step is pretty clear then.
Yeah, it's basically skip the stock picking frenzy, forget trying to predict the unpredictable, instead focus on steady, diversified investing, something that grows over time without all the stress and churn of constant trading. I like the analogy one source used. It's like watching everyone else frantically betting on individual horse races, while you just quietly invest in owning a piece of the entire racetrack itself. It's slower, maybe less thrilling day to day, but way more reliably profitable in the long run.
That's a great way to put it. Really changes the perspective on what winning even means in investing. Okay, so moving from the world of stocks and funds to something a bit more bricks and mortar. Let's talk real estate, specifically rentals. One source poses the question directly: maximize profit, short or long-term rentals. What's the thinking there?
Well, if we tie this back to the bigger themes, generating income, building long-term wealth, both approaches have their place. Short-term rentals, think like Airbnb or VRBO, they can bring in much higher nightly or weekly rates, especially if you're in a popular tourist spot.
Sure, potentially higher income peaks.
Right, but then long-term leases, renting to someone for a year or more, that provides a really stable, predictable income stream, and usually fewer day-to-day management headaches.
Less turnover, less hassle.
Exactly. So understanding the pros and cons of each, based on your location, your tolerance for management, your financial goals, that's really key to figuring out how to maximize your rental profits. It's not one size fits all.
And for anyone listening who's actually thinking about, taking the plunge and becoming a landlord, our sources had some great practical lessons, too, from the landlord diaries, sharing experiences from a first rental property.
Yeah.
What's maybe one of the most critical lessons a newbie landlord should really take to heart from those kinds of experiences?
Oh, definitely. One of the absolute biggest takeaways hammered home in those diaries is the huge importance of doing thorough tenant screening, really digging into applications, references, credit checks.
Don't skimp on the vetting.
Absolutely not. And beyond that, it's about setting really clear ground rules right from the start in the lease agreement. Plus, actively protecting your investment, doing regular checks, keeping up with maintenance promptly, and just generally making sure you build a smooth, professional rental experience. It's all about being proactive, not just reacting when problems pop up.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Be prepared. Okay, so we've looked at shifting mindset, smart investing, real estate realities, all ways to rewrite financial stability. But what if the biggest rewrite involves finding entirely new ways to generate income? That takes us to the real cutting edge, digital income streams. One of our sources detailed a really fascinating pivot: why I ditched Fiverr and went all in on AI for YouTube. What was the strategy behind that kind of move? Sounds bold.
It does sound bold, yeah. So the initial idea apparently was the standard approach. Just outsource the whole YouTube content creation thing. Go onto a platform like Fiverr, find freelancers who offer packages, will set up the channel, design thumbnails, do the SEO research, find topics.
Turnkey solution.
Exactly. Seemed like a smart shortcut, right? Leverage someone else's skills to get started quickly.
But then they decided not to hire freelancers and instead lean heavily into AI tools. And there were 4 pretty compelling reasons that really make you think about modern income generation. What were those?
Okay, yeah, the 4 reasons were interesting. First, it was about a zero-based cost approach. This was directly inspired by watching a successful, faceless YouTuber, someone making good money online without ever showing their face, who basically proved you could get monetized without spending a lot up front.
Okay, minimize initial risk.
Right. Second was a really strong desire for hands-on learning. The person wanted to actually use the AI tools themselves, experiment, figure out what worked, refine their own skills, really understand the whole content creation process from the inside out. The thinking was maybe outsource later, but only after defining a personal style and process.
Makes sense. Learn before you delegate.
Third reason: strategy over volume. There is this realization that just churning out more and more content doesn't automatically equal more income. Success on platforms like YouTube really depends on timing, on audience engagement, having a smart distribution strategy. Quality and strategy beat sheer quantity.
Interesting. And the fourth?
And finally, number 4 was that personal touch matters. There was this wish for the content to actually reflect a unique perspective, some authenticity, not just feel like another generic, mass-produced video churned out by a freelancer farm.
Got it. So it wasn't just about saving money. It was about learning, strategy, and authenticity, too. So if it's less about volume, more about smart creation.
Yeah.
What kinds of AI tools actually made this zero-based cost, hands-on approach feasible, and what were the strategic advantages they offered?
Yeah, so to pull this off, a specific suite of AI-powered tools became really central. And crucially, they leveraged free versions or things like daily credits to keep those costs right down, or even zero. Things like Canva Pro for image creation, apparently using trial accounts strategically.
Ah, clever.
Pixabay and Pexels for free, royalty-free stock images and videos, then Copilot and ChatGPT for generating images, noting there were differences in speed for the free versions. CapCut was mentioned as the go-to video editor for putting everything together, clips, sound effects, music, adding captions, and then tools like 11 Labs for the AI voiceovers, and something called Hedra for animating characters, which was apparently better than Heijin for slightly longer clips.
Oh, quite the tool then.
Right. The key was strategically combining these tools, many accessible for free or cheap. It really proved that you don't need a massive budget to create pretty high-quality content anymore, and it gives you incredible creative control and speed. It's a powerful example of leveraging tech to scale your efforts and, explore completely new income paths without huge upfront investment.
It really is amazing how accessible creation has become and how that opens doors for income. Now, just before we wrap things up, we always like to include a little surprising fact from our Wealth Whiz section. Did you know there's actually a parking spot out there somewhere that sold for more than a penthouse apartment? It just perfectly illustrates that old saying, location, location, and scarcity.
That's a fantastic example. It really highlights how assets we might think are, totally mundane, like a parking space, can hold immense value just because of unique market conditions. It shows that value isn't always in the obvious places. And that scarcity, when combined with high demand in a specific location, can drive prices to levels that seem almost unbelievable. A good reminder to look beyond the surface in financial analysis.
Definitely something to think about. Okay, so let's bring this all together. What does this journey mean for you listening? We've gone from rewriting your internal money story and embracing maybe lazier but smarter investing to understanding the practicalities of real estate rentals and even leveraging these incredible new AI tools for income generation. The clear thread is that building lasting wealth, it seems to be much more about strategy, about understanding the game than just pure relentless hustle.
Absolutely. And I'd really encourage everyone listening to take a moment and reflect on your own money story. What are the beliefs you hold? Consider which of these perspectives we talked about today might help you break free from any limiting ideas you have and start building wealth with maybe more confidence and clarity. There's always more to learn, isn't there? And exploring these different viewpoints, I think it really enriches your whole financial understanding.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. If just a small shift, a shift in how you maybe create something online or how you think about a long-term investment, if that can fundamentally change your financial path. What other beliefs, maybe ones you've held for years, might be quietly holding you back from reaching your own financial goals?
Yeah, keep exploring how those small strategic tweaks can lead to really significant long-term growth. Ask yourself, are my financial strategies truly set up for that slow, steady approach that might just be, at the end of the day, way more profitable, something to chew on?